Welcome students. Today we will discuss some objective questions and at the same time we will discuss the concepts related to that objective questions. So without wasting any further time, let's start. This is the first question. Now before going through this question, I would like to discuss some concepts. Let us say we have a beam, simply supported beam. This is the beam and there is a load W at the center. Total length is L here. Now we all know the bending moment diagram for this type of loading and the support condition. This is the bending moment diagram. The maximum moment will be at the center. It will be equal to WL/4. Now let's say we have only this moment, and if somebody asks you what is the equivalent loading for this bending moment, then we all will say the equivalent loading for this bending moment will be equal to a load at the center point W and the support will be a simply supported. Means if we have the moment diagram, we can have some idea about the loading condition. Like for triangular bending moment diagram, we have a point load W at the center. Now if we have a parabolic bending moment diagram like this, if we have a parabolic bending moment diagram with maximum value at center and is equal to WL²/8, then we can easily say that the equivalent loading for this bending moment diagram will be equal to a UDL with a load W. Now we will discuss some concept about the pre-stressed concrete. Let us say this is a beam and the cross section area of the beam is rectangular cross section area, right? This is the CG of the beam, and for the section this is called as a neutral axis NA. Now if pre-stressing cable is provided at the center line, at the CG line, and this cable is kept at a position with the help of some end arrangement, this is known as the anchorage block, or this is also called as end block. If this cable is provided at the CG line, then there will be only compression in the beam. So this beam can be represented as a beam with a compressive load at the center line, CG line. If pre-stressing force is P here, then this P is directly transferred over here. This is the equivalent pre-stressing force. Now let's say this cable is provided at some distance E from the central line. In this case, we have a compressive force at central location and equivalent moment. Now see, all the compressive force will be here, right? So due to this compressive force, we have additional moment, this P into this distance E, and this will be hogging moment. Hogging means it will be of this type moment. There will be tension at the top and compression at the bottom. This type of moment is known as the hogging moment. And sagging means this type, tension at the bottom and compression at the top. This is known as the sagging moment. So this can be transferred as a compressive load P at the CG, and at the same time some moment, value of that moment will be PE at the CG. Now let us say this pre-stressing cable is not provided at some distance E from the center line, but it is provided at variable length throughout the length of the beam, like this. This is the beam, this is the CG, and cable is like this. This is the pre-stressing cable with pre-stressing force P at an angle theta. So in that case, on concrete everywhere there will be a horizontal component of forces P cos theta. So this system can be represented as a compressive force is equal to P cos theta. This P cos theta on the concrete will be compressive, but on the pre-stressing force it will be tensile in nature. Now everywhere we have a P cos theta force in compressive. Here everywhere we have P cos theta force. These all forces P cos theta. So if we want to draw the bending moment diagram due to pre-stressing force, here we are excluding all the externally applied load and the self weight. We are just considering the load due to the pre-stressing cable. So what will be moment at this point? It will be equal to 0. Moment at this point, it will be equal to P cos theta into this length. Moment at this point, P cos theta into this length. So pattern will be like this. And what is the maximum value moment at here? It will be equal to P cos theta into maximum value is E. Now if this is the moment diagram, then what is the equivalent loading that will represent the same bending moment diagram? So let's calculate. We have seen the maximum value was WL by 4, and we have to calculate WL. This will be equal to P cos theta into E. W will be equal to 4 by L into P cos theta into E. Now I am arranging this term like this. 2 into P cos theta into E by L by 2, right? We have written 2 into 2 and we send 2 at the bottom like L by 2, right? Again E by L by 2, this value is nothing but a tan theta. If this angle is theta, then we can write here tan theta is equal to value of E by L by 2. So we replace this by E by 2 and we will get W is equal to 2P cos theta into tan theta. Tan theta is equal to sin theta by cos theta. Cos will get cancelled out and we will left with W is equal to 2P sin theta. Since this moment was hogging moment, so this direction of this W will be upward, right? So this system can be represented as a compressive force P cos theta and a vertical force is equal to 2P sin theta. This is very important question. A vertical force to sin theta and a compressive force that will act at CG P cos theta. Now we will see the question. In question, it is given a pre-stressed beam carrying an external load W. So let us draw that beam. This is the beam. We have a load W with a bent tendon is having angle of inclination theta, right? Again we have a bent tendon like this. And what is this tendon? This pre-stressing cable is known as the tendon. So this is the tendon, and in question it has been asked that what is the net downward load at the center. So here the net downward load is equal to total load W minus this 2p sin theta. We are converting this given pre-stressing cable condition and loading condition like this. So the answer will be equal to W minus 2p sin theta. Hence option 3 is correct option. So I will give you what you have to remember from this question. The first thing that you have to remember is, if we have a beam and we have a tendon like this, and maximum value at the center is E, or we can say this angle is theta, then the above beam can be converted into like this. This is the beam. There is a load at CG. It will equal to pre-stressing force is P cos theta, and an upward load 2p sin theta. And in second case, if the given cable is parabolic cable like this, and this angle is theta, in that case we can convert this cable profile loading like this. Due to this cable profile, we have a uniform UDL, and the value of UDL will be equal to 8p cos theta into E by L square. So you have to remember the two concepts here. One is due to this bent tendon, triangular bent tendon, we have an upward load of 2p sin theta, and due to this parabolic cable we have an upward load of 8p cos theta into E by L square, and of course a compressive force P cos theta. Here what is P? P is the value of pre-stressing force in the cable. So please remember these two concepts. Let's move to other question. Now next is the creep strengths are. The very first thing is, what is this creep? Creep is a property of concrete through which any concrete beam or any concrete structure is continues to deform with time under sustained loading. So here for creep, three things are important. One is it is a property of concrete. Second is we get deformation. When we get deformation? When we have a sustained loading, right? Sustained loading. And third, it is a long term effect. Now again the options are caused due to dead load only. Yes, this is true, because dead load falls in the category of sustained load. So this is the correct option. Let's see other option. Caused due to live load only. Since live load keeps on changing, like sometimes the live load may be 2 kN per meter, and after 1 hour the live load reduces to 0. Third option is caused due to cyclic load. No, for cyclic load we have a phenomena known as the fatigue. And fourth one is the independent of load. No, if there is no load on the concrete structure, then there will not be any creep strain, right? So option 1 is correct option, that creep happens in concrete due to the sustained loading, and this is the deformation that we are getting due to sustained loading. Now let's move to the other question. Which one of the following is categorized as a long-term loss of pre-stress in a pre-stress concrete member? Here I would like to discuss losses in pre-stress concrete. This losses is what? This is losses in pre-stressing force. Means what? Means if we have a beam and we have given a pre-stressing cable and we have provided anchor at the ends, and we have measured what is the value of tensile stress, means pre-stress value in this cable, and suppose let's say it is 1200 kilonewton now, and after 1 year again we are measuring that stress, let's say it is equal to 1100 kilonewton after 1 year. So we have a loss of 100 kilonewton in pre-stress. So why there is a loss in pre-stress? We will see now. So losses may be two types. One is a short-term losses, other is the long-term losses. This short-term losses is also known as a immediate loss, and this long-term losses is also known as a time-dependent loss. Now I will discuss what is this short-term pre-stress losses and what is the losses in pre-stress in long run. So the short-term losses are elastic shortening, friction, and anchorage slip. And the long-term losses are losses due to creep that we have just discussed, losses due to shrinkage, and losses due to relaxation of pre-stressing cable. This elastic shortening losses occurs only in pre-tensioning pre-stress member, and this friction and anchorage slip, this occurs in post-tensioning member. And these three, creep, shrinkage and relaxation, this occurs in both, that is pre-tensioned and post-tensioned member. How to calculate these elastic shortening losses, these friction losses, these anchorage slip, how to calculate the creep losses due to the creep, losses due to the shrinkage and relaxation. We will discuss these all in a separate video. The link is given in description box. So let's come to the question. Which of the following is categorized as a long-term loss? Let's say what is a loss due to elastic shortening. The first option is loss due to elastic shortening. This is an immediate loss we have just discussed now. So this is not a long-term loss. Loss due to friction, this is also a short-term loss. Third is the loss due to relaxation of a strand. What is a strand? The pre-stressing cable, that is known as the strand. So relaxation of a steel is a long-term loss, so this option will be correct option. The fourth option is loss due to anchorage slip. What is this anchorage slip? Here, let's go to here. At the end, we have provided some mechanism due to which this wire, pre-stressing wire, we keep that in position at the end. But sometimes what happens, that anchor slips inside the concrete. So due to which we have some loss in strain, and due to a strain we have a loss in stress. So here correct option is option 3. All three are short-term losses. Now let's go to the other question. The net effect due to pre-stressing concrete beams is are whether all the sections are in tension or compression, and both bending and tension and bending and compression. Right, so let's discuss this in detail. Let us say we have a beam and we have a support condition. This is the CG of the beam and there is a pre-stressing cable. Now let's assume a most general case. We have a parabolic profile of pre-stressing cable with maximum eccentricity E at the center, and the pre-stressing force is P. Everywhere pre-stressing force is P. And at the end we have anchorage block. Let's take any section at any distance x from the left support. This is a cross section at this, means our beam is like this. Everywhere we have some thickness. So this is a cross section. At that cross section, pre-stressing cable is here. So we will mark here. This is the location of pre-stressing cable. Let's say this distance is E1 and the pre-stressing force will be here P. Section size is B and D. We can convert this section like this. We have a load and we have a moment. This load will be equal to P and moment will be equal to PE. So if we draw the stress diagram, due to this direct compression P, we have a compressive force everywhere. P by A is a compressive stress everywhere. Let's say plus is a compressive stress, and due to this bending PE, again we have some compressive stress at the bottom and tensile stress at the top, and this is the variation. From bending formula we know that M by I is equal to sigma by Y. So sigma is equal to M by I into Y. This is a linear variation Y. So this is a variation. Now if we have some load, some UDL, then due to that UDL again we have some stresses, and due to that external load we have compressive stress at top and tensile stress at bottom, like this. So the net effect due to pre-stressing will be equal to the bending and compression. So option 4 will be correct. Now let us see why this option 1 is not correct. The question is net effect due to pre-stressing in a pre-stressed concrete beam is usually. If our member are in tension, then what is the benefit of pre-stressing that beam? Generally we do pre-stressing only so that there should not be any tension in the beam. And second, in compression, yes, we want compression, but at the same time if pre-stressing cable is not at the centroid location, then we have a compression as well as bending stress. Third option is bending and tension. Yes, sometimes we have tension, but the net effect is not the tension. Net effect is bending and compression. So option 4 is the correct option. Now let's move to the next question. In a load balanced pre-stressed concrete, first I will tell you what is this load balanced pre-stress. Let us say we have a beam, we have the support, it is assembly supported, and we have a point load W. Due to this we have some moment throughout the length. Let us say this is a bending moment diagram. What is the maximum value? If the length is L, the maximum value of that moment will be equal to WL by 4. Now if we place, this is the CG of the beam. Now if we place that pre-stressing cable in such a way that at each and every point the value of moment will be equal to the moment that has been arised due to the external load, so that there is not any bending compression or bending tension. Simply we are nullifying the bending tension and bending compression. So we will left with only the axial stress. So the correct option for this case is axial stress. The second option is bending stress. This option cannot be true because we are nullifying the bending stress, so this is not correct. Third option is axial and shear stress. Yes, third option may also be correct because shear stress, there will be shear stress, and shear stress will be equal to sum of all the forces either left to the section or the right to the section. So correct option is here option 3, axial stress and the shear stress. Let's move to the next question. A partially pre-stressed member. Now what is this partially pre-stressed member? The definition is given here, please read it. Generally, this partial pre-stressing is done to reduce the cost, and this is done such that we are allowing some tension and some cracking. This is some tension and some cracking is allowed under service loads. This tension is equal to permissible tension, and this cracking should not be more than critical cracking, means permissible cracking. So within the limit we are allowing the tension and cracking under service load. So the first option is correct. Tensile stress and cracking are permitted under service load. Second option is no tensile stress is permitted. No, this is a incorrect option. Third is mild steel is used in addition to pre-stressing steel. Please note that mild steel cannot be used in pre-stressing. Why? Okay, here is the explanation. The strain due to creep and shrinkage, combined strain due to creep and shrinkage is equal to 8 into 10 to the minus 4. This is the approx value, right? And what is the stress? Stress is equal to Young's modulus of elasticity into strain. For steel, any type of steel, we have this value as 2 into 10 to the 5 MPa, and strain is 8 into 10 to the minus 4. So this is equal to 160 MPa. And for mild strain, what is the value of Fy? Fy is equal to 250 MPa. So see, even if we pre-stress that mild strain steel by this 250 MPa, then we will lose approx 160 MPa. So there is no use of pre-stressing. That's why mild steel never be used as a pre-stressing steel. The fourth option is tensile stresses are permitted but not cracking. No, we are permitting both in case of partially pre-stressed concrete, both tensile stress and the cracking, but these two, cracking and tensile stresses, should be within the limit. Let's move to the other question. The bursting stress in pre-stressed concrete members are developed at. The figure that you can see here, this is the end block. Means if we have a beam and we have provided some cable here, pre-stressing cable. Then this block here, end block, we have to provide to hold that reinforcement, hold that pre-stressing wire at the place. Now see, the holding will occur only in the small area, this area. And what is the stress? Stress is equal to P by A. Here area is small, so there will be maximum stress at the anchorage zone. Wherever there is an anchor, we have a maximum stress here. And this stress distributes like this. Here we have maximum stress, then again this keep on decreasing. This is the stress path. And this is the tensile stress occurs due to the compressive stress. Sometimes what happens at the anchorage zone, we have the maximum stress due to which bursting occurs. So third option is correct option. Let's move to the other question. In case of pre-tensioned RC beams, what is the value of shrinkage? What is the relaxation? Okay, let's see the second option first. Relaxation of the steel can be ignored. No, relaxation cannot be ignored. Either in pre-tensioned and post-tensioned we have relaxation. So this option is wrong option. Second is the only one wire can be stressed at a time. This option is also not correct because there are some method by which multiple wires can be stressed at a time. Fourth is the even mild steel can be used for pre-stressing. Just now we have discussed that mild steel cannot be used as a pre-stressing because approx more than 150 MPa stresses we are losing, so we will not get benefit if we use mild steel bar as a pre-stressing. So here only option 1 is correct option. Shrinkage of concrete is of the order 3 into 10 to the power -4. Here I would like to give some concepts to you and you have to remember these concepts. First is the shrinkage. If our beam is pre-tensioned beam, in that case the shrinkage is 3 into 10 to the power -4. If our beam is post-tensioned beam, in this case the shrinkage is equal to 2 into 10 to the power -4 divided by log t plus 2. This log is base 10. These two formula are very important. You have to remember these two. Right. The second thing that you have to remember is the grade of concrete. So minimum grade M30, this is required for post-tensioned beam, and M40 is required for pre-tensioned beam. Let's move to the other question. In a composite construction, first we will discuss what is this composite construction. For any structure, let us say we have a T-beam, or if we have some beams and some slabs that has to be casted over the beam, and if we have used two different types of concept in that design, then that construction is known as the composite construction. Like this, here you can see this beam, high section beam, is a precast pre-stressing concrete. Precast means we have fabricated these two elements in our fabrication yard, and then we have carried this beam to the construction site and we have placed at the appropriate location, and then we have placed a simple slab over it, right? So there are two methods. In one case, this beam, let's say this is the beam, and let's draw it in 3D so that you can understand better. Let us say this is the beam and we have some supports, and at the top of it we have to cast some slab like this. These are the slab. So first case, if we provide some props in between, props means simple supports in between. If we provide some prop, then in that case this beam, this section, this beam all over the length need not to be designed for that additional load that is occurring due to the slab. But in second case, if there is no prop, means there is no support, only two support, this support and this support, and the middle support is not there, in that case we have to design this member so that this section can withstand the load of the slab. Right? Hope you got idea about the composite construction. So let us see the options. First one is the interface slipping is prevented by using shear connector. This shear connector generally used in case of a steel beam. If we are placing some slab over a steel beam, then what we are doing, we have some shear connector, we weld that shear connector on the steel beam, and that steel member goes directly inside the slab so that the interface slipping can be prevented. Here we are talking about the concrete, so there is no concept of shear connector, so this option is incorrect option. Second is the differential shrinkage is overcome by using the same grade of concrete for both components. Now this is incorrect option. Why? Just now we have seen that for pre-tensioned or post-tensioned there is a certain grade of concrete, minimum grade of concrete. Like for pre-tensioned we have to use minimum M40, and for post-tensioned we have to use minimum M30 concrete as per the code. So if we have to use the same grade concrete, then we should have casted both the slab and beam at the same location, right? We are generally saving some money by using both grade of concrete, suppose M40 and here M20, and we save some money, so we do not cast both by the same components. So second option is incorrect option. Third is precast member is always designed to carry the weight of in situ concrete without props. Yes, this is the correct option. Why? Because if we do not have prop at both the location here and here, then we have to design the load of this in situ concrete, means this slab, on the precast beam. Fourth is in situ concrete cannot be pre-stressed. Yes, we can pre-stress the in situ concrete, means here this slab, we can pre-stress this, but generally we do not do it. So here third option is the correct option. Let's move to the other question. Here in pre-stressed concrete bridge beam, what is the minimum clear spacing? Please remember, for clear spacing, this is equal to maximum of two things. First is either 40 mm and second is 5 mm plus maximum size of aggregate. If the maximum size of aggregate is 40 mm, then we will provide 45 mm clear spacing. So in question, first option is 25 mm, which is not correct. Second is the 25 mm or 6 mm of the largest aggregate, this is also not correct. Third is the 40 mm, fourth is the 50 mm. here in this question the maximum size of a grid is not given. It means they want to ask only this value. So third option will be the correct option, 40 mm. Here we come at the end of this video. I thank all of you who is watching this video, and at the same time I thank this SemExcel team. They have done a great work of writing all the questions from the question paper to that slide so that I can discuss here. Again, thank you very much.